How to deal with toxic relationships. Welcome to today's discussion, where we'll explore the dynamics of difficult relationships, a topic that impacts every one of us at some point. Relationships are at the heart of the human experience, shaping the best and worst moments of our lives. The paradox of human connection. Think back to your life's most joyful and most painful times. Chances are, people were at the center of both. Our deeply social nature makes us vulnerable to both love's ecstasy and rejection's agony. This duality fuels our movies, dramas, and stories, captivating us because relationships are so essential to who we are. Psychologists emphasize that love and intimacy are among the most fulfilling human emotions, while isolation can be among the most devastating. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest thinkers, reminds us that even at the height of power, he strove to remain tolerant and accepting. In his meditations, he wrote, "We were born to work together like feet, hands, and eyes. To obstruct each other is unnatural. To feel anger at someone or turn your back on them is an obstruction." What's remarkable is that Aurelius, as a Roman emperor, had the power to punish or exclude anyone. Yet, he chose wisdom and unity over tyranny, understanding that collaboration, even with difficult people, yields the best outcomes. He teaches us that accepting others as part of the collective whole is a path to peace and better decision-making. Balancing tolerance with boundaries. Tolerance doesn't mean enduring unhealthy situations indefinitely. Here are some principles and strategies to navigate difficult relationships effectively. Recognize emotional triggers. Even the most rational individuals have emotional limits. Recognize when interactions provoke stress or harm. Use tools like mindfulness to regain clarity before responding. Move it or loose it. Get away from the situation just for a moment to help you gain control over your emotions. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, where do you feel tension in your body the most at this moment? And relax. Go get a glass of water and ask yourself, what can you learn from it? Set healthy boundaries. If a relationship consistently damages your mental or physical well-being, it's rational and essential to create space or step away entirely. Master the pause. When confronted with insults or negativity, practice the art of pausing. This moment of reflection helps you choose a measured response rather than reacting impulsively. Focus on solutions, not blame. In conflicts, avoid finger-pointing. Shift the conversation to shared goals or resolutions. What is your common aim? This approach fosters collaboration instead of escalation. Living a life of wisdom means conserving your energy for meaningful pursuits, achieving your potential, sharing your gifts, and building fulfilling relationships. If a single avoidable relationship drains your energy, you must reflect. How is that wise? Let's explore how to identify and handle different types of difficult relationships with clarity and compassion, supported by top expert advice. 3 categories of troubled relationships. 1. Misaligned relationships. These relationships aren't harmful, but they lack synergy. Think of people with whom you share no natural flow. Perhaps their personality clashes with yours, or you have vastly different interests. Misaligned relationships are common in families or acquaintances, where spending too much time together feels overwhelming. Strategies for misaligned relationships. Focus on outcomes. Instead of dwelling on grievances, shift your attention to what you want to achieve together. Marcus Aurelius suggested tolerating misaligned people by focusing on shared goals rather than their flaws. Use nonviolent communication. Express observations without judgment. State your feelings and needs, and make actionable requests. For example, say, "I feel unheard when interrupted during meetings. Could we ensure everyone finishes their point before responding?" Limit exposure. Be intentional about the time you spend. Balance interactions to prevent tension from escalating. 2. Troubled relationships. These relationships involve persistent conflict, blame, or lack of empathy. They can range from challenging colleagues to romantic partners nearing a breakup. Key approaches for troubled relationships. The 3 options framework. Accept. Embrace the situation as it is, but let go of complaints. Change. Transform the relationship by altering your communication or setting boundaries. Leave. If the relationship causes consistent harm and no resolution is possible, consider stepping away. Adopt the EAR method. Empathy. Validate the other person's perspective. Assertiveness. Clearly communicate your feelings and needs. Respect. Approach even difficult conversations with dignity and mutual consideration. Change yourself to influence others. Adjusting your behavior creates a ripple effect in the relationship. For example, being consistently calm and respectful can de-escalate conflicts and inspire reciprocation. 3. Toxic relationships. True toxicity occurs when a relationship is detrimental to your mental, emotional, or physical health. Toxic relationships often involve manipulation, disrespect, or abuse, leaving you feeling controlled or drained. Steps for toxic relationships. Recognize the signs. Toxic relationships may trigger guilt, fear, or chronic self-doubt. Consult professionals. Seek therapy or counseling to process emotions and gain clarity on the next steps. Enforce non-negotiable boundaries. Clearly communicate limits and the consequences of crossing them. For example, if disrespect continues, I will reduce contact. Use the 10-year rule. Jordan Peterson advises considering how you'll feel in a decade if the relationship remains unchanged. If it leads to bitterness or despair, it's time to leave. How to approach troubled and misaligned relationships effectively. Troubled relationships are a universal challenge, and one common mistake is approaching them with frustration rather than strategy. Often, the person struggling with the relationship refuses to leave, resists self-reflection, and instead hopes criticism or nagging will miraculously transform the other person. Unfortunately, that's not how humans work. Here's how you can navigate these dynamics constructively. 1. Shift your mindset. Focus on collaboration, not conflict. For misaligned relationships, the goal isn't to force harmony, but to align on outcomes. Ask yourself, how can we work toward a shared goal despite our differences? How can we leverage each other's strengths? Example. In business, partners don't need to be best friends to succeed. Many successful ventures have been built by people with vastly different personalities who work together effectively. On the other hand, being close friends or getting along doesn't always equate to professional compatibility. Key tip: prioritize collaboration over compatibility. It's okay to not agree on everything, as long as you can move forward productively. General tools for all relationships: empathy as a foundation. Take time to truly understand the other person's emotions and struggles. Pause to imagine their challenges, which helps you respond with compassion rather than defensiveness. Practice the disarming technique. Acknowledge the truth in criticism rather than dismissing it outright. For example, them. You never listen to me. You. I can see how you'd feel that way. I've been distracted lately. Let's talk more openly about this. Prioritize self-care. Relationships are harder to navigate when you're emotionally depleted. Invest in self-care practices like journaling, mindfulness, and exercise to strengthen your resilience. Conclusion. Choose peace and growth. Navigating difficult relationships isn't about fighting fire with fire. It's about staying grounded, expressing your truth, and making choices that align with your values. Misaligned relationships teach us patience. Troubled ones test our growth, and toxic ones remind us of the importance of self-respect. By categorizing your relationships, setting clear boundaries, and focusing on empathy and respect, you pave the way for healthier connections and a more fulfilling life. Remember, you have the power to transform your relationships, or to walk away and reclaim your peace. Ultimately, difficult relationships challenge us to grow. By balancing compassion with self-care, we not only heal ourselves but contribute to healing the world. Remember, every interaction is a chance to choose kindness, set boundaries, and strive for peace, not just in others, but within ourselves. Let's make our relationships the foundation of a healthier, happier life. Thank you for joining this journey toward better connections.